Hi, Birchwood community. We're entering the 6th week, and in this update video, I have 3 items. 2 are very short, and the last one I want to spend some time on. The first is to remind you this Wednesday, we need to know whether or not you want to be in remote learning for the second quarter or to return to school. And if you're not changing, you don't need to notify us. But if you wish to make a change, please let the office know by Wednesday. Secondly, remind you of vigilance as the weather gets colder and we're inside more. We're all going to have to be more careful, more vigilant, so that we preserve our bubble, and we preserve our bubble because your bubble at home is being preserved. Okay, now the third thing, I'll take some time. Parents are not able to come into the school. You can't get a feeling of what's going on in the classroom or in the hallways or at the school at large. So you don't have a handle on the ethos, the temperature, emotional, social, academic temperature that's in the school. So what I did is I asked all of the teachers to give me an update. What's not going well in your classroom? What is going well in your classroom? Do you have any anecdotes during this period of time that are specific to the kinds of challenges that we're facing? And they gave me everything. And then I put it all together. And that's what I want to share with you to give you a big picture, the overall picture of our situation. And probably I would label it remaining a very caring, a very warm, a very happy environment, and thriving and growing. That's crucial. It's not just happy and joyful, but there's growth. And that's a lot where joy comes from, is by growing and thriving, and that's all there. I thought to begin this presentation, I'm going to read you 2 clips from 2 of the teachers. I thought they penned it really well in trying to describe what we do. One comes from Mrs. Sproul, and she describes it this way. Classes this year have been like an orchestra. At first, we were akin to professional musicians tuning up. We could make beautiful sounds, but to an audience, it would seem random and cacophonous. As the first month of school progressed, we became more like a finely tuned orchestra playing in harmony. Now, I don't know if we're playing good music yet, but it's beginning to be harmonious, but you get all these different parts that everyone's in a flurry putting together, but gradually something beautiful is emerging. And the second, I thought, also captured the whole picture of what's going on with the kids. What are our expectations from Mrs. Seward? She says, as we adults tend to say, students' worlds have been turned upside down. But to peek into an LA classroom in grades 5 through 8, real or virtual, you'd probably reconsider that notion. 5 weeks into school, 5th through 8th grade, whether in person and remote students as a whole, have found a rhythm, and their resilience is on display. Although their educational environment has been drastically altered, their attitudes, willingness to learn, and ability to get things done are remarkably steady, and in some cases, and I would attest to this, even more. I'm seeing much more progress, and I'll explain some of the reasons why. We found that students greet most everything we throw at them matter-of-factly, and they are conscious to follow protocols and directives. You have a Zoom at 10 a.m., okay, they say. You have to wear a mask all day, every day. Silent nods, no complaints. Take this chunky divider and put it on your desk when you eat indoors. Weird, but okay, we'll do it, done. Wade through all those directions in classroom, ask questions of your teacher, respond to their comments, etc., etc., etc. New technology, done. What else do you want us to do? That's been students' attitude. In class and with remote students, she writes, we are discovering that we are able to cover more ground and more thoroughly in this 3 days a week subject format. And I will attest to that and give you some more examples. In person, we anticipated daily complaints about these 90-minute blocks, especially in grades 5 through 8. Groans, yawns, needs for stretches, moving, and games galore to fill up the time. Instead, time is flying. Just this morning, a 7th grader realized we were rounding end of week 5 of the school. Wait, already? She said in disbelief. Wow, that went fast. The kids are content. They're working and following the rules. They're growing and becoming. as they always have. Yes, they need reminding all day long. Social distance, wash your hands. Yes, some work is late and some is done incorrectly. Yes, they might get too close together and when they line up as they leave their classes. Yes, they miss an occasional Google Meet, but as a whole, they are complying and most importantly, happy. And quite frankly, so are all of us. So I would categorize this whole year as what up to this point that the teachers and the students are rising to the challenge and embracing it and conquering it. But secondly, and I think this is quite important, we're making some unexpected beneficial discoveries. We're discovering unexpected benefits, and I would like to highlight those for you in the remainder of this video. As I mentioned, we had the challenges, the health and safety protocols. We expected pushback, and understandably so, from wearing masks to having to social distance all the time, and all the other things we have to do to keep the children safe. Secondly, we knew academic delivery was going to be hard. I don't know if you realize this, but of course, teachers at Birchwood, we put under a great deal of pressure. We want them to be top notch, and we help them to do that. So planning by itself is hard, and now we've asked everybody to plan for in-school students and remote students. What does that count? More work, more time, more effort. Secondly, we asked the teachers to employ new technology. They had to learn all kinds of technology really in a short period of time. Not only that, but we were looking at technology not just to be used during this period of remote learning, but technology that would be advantageous once everybody comes back to school when the pandemic is over, and evolving technology. So our whole year is dedicated to more learning, which includes more hard work, more time investment. And lastly, one of the highlights of sending your children to Birchwood is that we are able to differentiate the curriculum for students of all different abilities so that there's no ceiling for the truly bright child. There's no limit to how far they can go with their education. How to translate that into our current setting, once again, took a great deal of work. But we've risen to the challenge. I'm so both grateful to our staff and amazed at the effort that they have put in and continue to put in order to rise to the challenges that we're faced with. Now, on the other side of discovering unexpected benefits, let me list a few of them. So with the health and protocols, I would call what we have seen heartwarming compliance. And really, mom and dad, you guys are the ones who should take credit for this, that the children are so easily guided in one direction or another as to what they're doing, and so compliant that it warms your heart. We're not struggling. I haven't had one struggle with a single student regarding any of these health and safety protocols. So I call it heartwarming compliance. That's what's come up with there. That was an unexpected benefit. Yes, we have to remind, of course, and that we have to remind adults to keep some of these protocols. But your children have absolutely been lovely, and it's inspiring to see their cooperation. Then related to academics, first with K through 4. This is some of the reports I've got back. Number one, these kids are happy in school for whatever variety of reasons. And that is so important in grades 1 through 4, because you're creating early attitudes. I like learning. I like coming to school. I like growing. The children are happy. It has not been oppressive, despite all the hand washing and everything else we have to do. It's a joyful environment, and the children are engaged. Plus, because of all the new technology and all the children having to learn, whether it's Padlet or Flipgrid or Classroom, we are preparing the groundwork for them to make much more progress once everybody's in school. And we're using these forms of technology to enhance what we're doing. And the 5 through 8 have been very interesting in what we've discovered, and some of it came out in Mrs. Seward's letter. These 90-minute blocks of time really surprised us. The depth of learning, the depth of focus that can go on, we had not realized before, whether it's in science or language arts or mathematics or reading. We're discovering a richer learning process and experience. I told Dr. Haskins and Nicole Gregory, my two co-teachers, I don't think I've seen a group of math students, 5th through 8th grade, make as much progress in the first 5 weeks of school as I've seen this group. And it has a lot to do with the way we've had to arrange things and have these 90-minute blocks of time. If you're interested, I'll go into great detail because I'm beginning to see some things that are quite enlightening and very beneficial to student learning. We've done some our own videos. I'm in the process of doing all the math books, every single topic for learning via our own videos. And that's been so powerful. The same thing has been going on in language arts, same thing has been going on in science, and the same thing has been going on in reading. And what that allows, if the children are learning through a video, which is difficult to make because you've got to be so precise. You have to make sure that is a learning video. They can go back to it multiple times to learn from. Well, when you have those there, I and my other math co-teachers and the science teachers and the language arts teachers, we're able to be coaches. We're not having to stand up and present something and then hope kids get it. We're encouraging their engagement in a video. We're encouraging their agency. Now I'm the coach, which is fantastic because you can work with students one-on-one. You know exactly what they got and what they didn't get, what you have to focus on. So the learning environment becomes much more powerful through this one little device. Now, we don't use them in every grade level, but I'm pointing out this unexpected discoveries that are beneficial that we discovered through this time. Also, much of the technology, even though it's geared toward remote students, becomes very effective in group discussions and classroom discussions. I'm experimenting with ways to do my math counts on Saturdays because of the advantage of some of the technology with meeting together. It has allowed more individual attention to children. Some of the shyer children especially can speak forth on a remote where they may not do it in class or within a Zoom meeting or within a Google Meet. And related to the teachers and all this work, under the understory of all this work, it feels good. It feels good to learn stuff. It feels good to get better at your profession. It is painful. It eats up a lot of time, but there is, I've heard this over and over from teachers, it's gratifying. We couldn't do this forever, that's for sure. But that's the positive side. It is a positive benefit. And I think, that kind of leads to the last real benefit of this time. What we're all learning and what we're introducing the children to, especially the older children, there's certain wonderful lessons that can be learned when you are restricted. When your environment is forcing you to do things that you don't want to do, but you have to do. In our society, that is a useful lesson right now. I don't like what the pandemic has imposed upon us, but on the other hand, there's an opportunity to learn things. One lesson that I've picked up, I've had this all my life since Helene and I lived in Korea, which at that time in the 70s was still an emerging third world country. And that is this notion of some people got it a lot worse than I do. So go forward. You can make this. And mine during this period of time, mine has been my youngest daughter. It's kind of interesting. She's very accomplished. She went to Hawken and she got a full ride to Case Western Reserve. She did her graduate work at Columbia. Then she got married to someone from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and had kids. Now she has 6 kids. And in the middle of remote learning or hybrid learning, her triplet daughters are in kindergarten in remote learning. Then she has a 2nd grader, she has a 4th grader, and she has a 5th grader. I don't even need to say anymore. You can imagine what on earth is going on in that house. But I do know when I have a hard time, I just think about Hannah and I think to myself, it ain't so bad, Mr. D, you can do this. And it's one of the strategies you wouldn't necessarily face if everything were going well. But at a time like this, when we're all just kicking against all the hardships that we have, it's good to as a part of the whole concept of still being positive, still expecting growth, still expecting to do good things for other people, to have a context that always somebody has it harder than we do. So go forward. And maybe that's a good place to leave off with all of you. And I look forward to this coming week and to any of your comments that you have. Okay, thank you very much.